Star Spirit Messenger, Star Spirit Messenger, the pursuer of the heavenly hall of immortals. All of their cultivations were very strong, even stronger than the elders of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. Star Spirit Messenger smiled slightly and said, I believe that Elder E will make a wise choice, and it would be best if you don't force us to make a move. Supreme God said so. If the Elder E dares to retaliate, kill him. Finally, the words kill without discussion were filled with killing intent. Moreover, while they were talking, the 3-star spirit messenger S moved at the same time and landed in Yi's 3 directions, sealing all of his escape routes. Whatever. E retracted his aura and let out a long breath. Can I bid farewell to a little friend? Star Spirit Messenger said slightly, Elder E, you better not play any tricks. I don't dare. E smiled faintly. Then, he landed in the courtyard Long Fei was in. After walking into Long Fei's room and seeing him sleep soundly, E smiled lightly. Brat, today is the best day for me to drink. Thank you. I'm leaving. From now on, you will have to walk the road of immortal domain yourself. However, just like you said, the Long family will never retreat. I hope that you won't retreat during your cultivation in immortal domain and will always move forward. And then, Brat, you have to come to the God Emperor Academy. You have to become a demon slayer. Remember what I said. Only the demon slayer can save Sky Martial Continent. I must enter the God Emperor Academy. The idea formed a wave of energy that wrapped around Long Fei, making him extremely strong. After doing all this, E covered Long Fei's body with the blanket and smiled knowingly. And then he took a big step out of the yard, looked at the 3 spirit star emissaries and said, Let's go. At this moment, a star spirit messenger walked up, took out a magical equipment, and said, Elder E, sorry for the offense. Just like handcuffs from his previous life. Since E had made the choice, he wouldn't regret it. He stretched out his hands and said, Come. With a wave of his magic tools, his cultivation was instantly suppressed by the seal. The 2 of them pressed on his shoulders, and the leading star spirit messenger sneered and said, I didn't expect that who comprehended the heavenly sword art, is also so mediocre with the legacy of the giant demons. Frowned, but didn't say anything. Why? Are you upset by what I said? The spirit star emissary sneered coldly. His face was filled with disdain. The moment he finished speaking, he kicked out. Puffed. Simply did not have the power to retaliate after receiving the seal. He was kicked to the ground by Star Spirit Messenger and spat out a mouthful of blood. Elder E, aren't you usually very arrogant? Star Spirit Messenger grabbed E's head, sneered, and said, You're crazy again. E coldly smiled and said, How much did Guwuji give you? The Spirit Star emissary's eyes narrowed, as if his scar had been opened. He moved his fist and said, Do you know Elder Gu? Bam! E was thrown to the ground. The Spirit Star emissary stepped on E's head and said, This is the result of going against Elder Gu. E still sneered and said, Guwuji really has raised a good dog. You're courting death. His right foot chopped down fiercely and landed heavily on E's head. He ruthlessly trampled on it. In the room, the instant that walked out, Long Fei's eyes opened. He had drunk a lot of strong alcohol and also slept extremely deeply, but Long Fei had never dared to be careless. The moment he stepped into the room, he woke up. Hearing the voice coming from the yard, he clenched his fists tightly and pierced his nails into his flesh. He felt extremely displeased. At the same time, he was also struggling with all his might, but the power of idea that E had received from his body was something that he was unable to break through. Senior, let me go. I'm going to kill them. He could imagine the scene of being crushed and was extremely unhappy. Had always been helping him, but Long Fei had always treated him like an uncle. Family. After his family was crushed, he felt extremely unhappy. Long Fei roared, "Gu Wuji, F***K your ancestors." However, his voice couldn't get out. It was tightly sealed by Yi's cultivation. Bam, bam, bam. Was kicked around by the 3-star spirit messenger S on the ground, and then brutally trampled on by them. Elder continue being arrogant. You think you're worthy of going against Elder Gu. It took them a full 10 minutes to stop. All right, this old fellow is already half crippled. Even if it's fine, don't think you can break through in your entire life. Let's go in and take care of that small one. I have completed the mission Elder Gu assigned me, the leading star spirit messenger said. Looking at who was unconscious on the ground, he revealed a cold and contemptuous smile. The last few moves had used his unique strength, the shattered immortal root. It could cause serious damage to a martial artist's immortal foundation. Even if it was recovered, it would be very difficult to break through again in this lifetime. It could be said that was already a cripple. This was something that Gu Wuji had specially instructed him to do. Moreover, Gu Wuji had also guessed that would soon surrender without any resistance. Star Spirit Messenger said to himself, "Everything is as Elder Gu had expected. That kid is gone." What? For the Star Spirit Messenger. He was startled and immediately rushed into the room and shouted, 10 minutes ago his aura was still there. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The unconscious Xing woke up and said, "I just sent him away? Ha ha. Star Spirit Messenger? Gu Wuji? Tai Hong? Just you wait. Long Fei will become your nightmare. Ha ha." This was his last resort. He had to protect Long Fei. To protect Long Fei at all costs. Even if he had to die, he had to protect Long Fei. It was not difficult for him, Long Fei, and the giant demon to defeat the 3-star spirit messengeress, and then they would be endlessly hunted by the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals S. Long Fei was also unable to join the God Emperor Academy. He could not create obstacles for Long Fei. Long Fei had to enter the God Emperor Academy so that he could become a demon slayer and become Gu Wuji's nightmare. Long Fei, you have to rise. I bet everything on you. Was incomparably excited in his heart, while in his heart he was laughing wildly. Ha ha ha. Humph, you think a trash from the southern domain, would be able to overturn the heavens in the immortal domain? Prepare to accept the strongest punishment from the heavenly hall of immortals. The 3-star spirit messenger S moved and said, "Let's go." They did not take Long Fei seriously. What sort of climate could a trash from the South Horizon region have? Not great. An hour later, the binding power of the idea on Long Fei's body was removed. His body recovered as he let out a heavy roar. Rumble. He had been in the room the entire time, but Yi's idea powers had concealed him. Long Fei rushed into the courtyard like a madman. Seeing the blood all over the courtyard, the flames of anger in his heart flared up even more. Gu Wuji. Spirit Star Emissaries. Heavenly, just you wait. Chapter 5. Thank you for your support. 8_8419/2356878. The methods of the Heavenly Hall of Immortals S made Long Fei very unhappy. The methods of the Heavenly Hall of Immortals S made Long Fei very unhappy. Since he was unhappy, Then he had to do it. Long Fei roared in the courtyard, his fury raging to the heavens. At this moment, it woke up a large group of people. Chief Bodyguard rushed into the courtyard without even putting on his outer robes and asked, "Brother Long, what happened?" Long Fei's aura retracted, and he said with firm eyes, "Big Brother Captain, can you bring me to God's Soul Mountain?" Long Fei did not want to waste any more time. He wanted to quickly find the God's Soul Herb and then go to God Emperor Academy. Tried his best to protect, not allowing him to kill Lin Long, and not allowing him to appear in the courtyard. Long Fei didn't feel anything towards the God Emperor Academy. In any case, it was just an academy. To him, whether it was an academy or a sect, he didn't care, because he didn't need anyone to guide his cultivation. What he needed to gain from training was experience. However, the immortal domain was slightly different. He still needed an immortal foundation to break through. However, from the moment was punched first, Long Fei had already made up his mind to enter the God Emperor Academy. He had to. Before that, he needed God's Soul Herb to save the Yen Huang ancestor. God's Soul Mountain? Where are you going? This town was famous because of the God's Soul Mountain. There were many immortals and experts that came here to search for treasures, but it was just that no one had succeeded. As for what kind of treasure did the God's Soul Mountain have, even the people in this town didn't know. There were legends about them, that there were immortals on top of God's Soul Mountain, true immortals. Whoever could find immortals could cultivate immortal spells. However, in the tens of thousands of years that had passed, not a single person had succeeded. There were even many people who were unable to climb onto the God's Soul Mountain and had retreated halfway, because the God's Soul Mountain was simply too steep. Even a golden immortal ranker would find it difficult to climb over it, much less fly over it. Long Fei didn't say. He only said, "You just need to bring me there." The chief bodyguard did not ask any further and replied, "All right, wait a moment. I will go and prepare." "Thank you." Long Fei exhaled, looked at the night sky, and muttered, "Senior, wait for me." Half an hour later, Long Fei waited for Chief Bodyguard at the entrance of the town. Long Fei was startled. He asked, "Leader, why are you carrying so much?" Chief Bodyguard laughed. "These are all prepared for you. I just asked the oldest man in the village. He said that if you want to climb Tian, Hu Mountain, you must bring a sacrifice." "Sacrifice?" Long Fei muttered. "Sacrifice?" Chief Bodyguard laughed. "Sacrifice for the heavens? I am not sure. In any case, if you can reach the peak of your power, take out your offering." He. Long Fei smiled. "Thank you for your good intentions." He didn't think much of it. He didn't believe in the heavens. He didn't believe in fate. He only believed in himself, because the Long family had never accepted their fate. Trust in a man to triumph over the heavens. The two of them hurried on their way, because the demon beasts that had just been miserably dealt with by Long Fei had all been killed. So all of the demon beasts in God's Soul Mountain hid themselves and didn't dare to come out again. Early morning, the chief bodyguard pointed to a mountain in the sky that could not be seen from the summit and said, "That is the God's Soul Mountain. It might be the tallest mountain in the immortal domain. Some people say that it can link to the soul of the heavens." Long Fei dismounted from his horse and said, "Many thanks, Big Brother Captain. I will be going now." At this moment, Chief Bodyguard also quickly dismounted and said, "Brother Long, bring these things with you. Whether it's useful or not, what if it's useful?" What Long Fei wanted to refuse was looking at the firm expression in his eyes. He said, "All right." He picked up a big package and took it out. Climb the mountain. In his previous life, Long Fei hated climbing the mountain the most. He liked to play with water because the girls in the water were wearing very little clothes. Here, Long Fei wasn't called climbing the mountain. He was called running up the mountain. He was very fast as he ran all the way up. An hour passed. Long Fei slowed down. 2 hours passed. Long Fei could no longer run. After 3 hours, Long Fei was slowly walking. 7 hours passed. Long Fei became a mountain climber. The mountain became steeper and steeper, like a rock climbing, and one could not see the top of the mountain. Continue. Long Fei clenched his teeth. He had to choose the path himself, no matter how bitter it was, and he would continue walking on it. If it wasn't for him, Yi would definitely have returned to Heavenly Hall of Immortals before Gu Wuji had done so, and wouldn't have been hunted down by Star Spirit Messenger. Senior Yi had done too much for him. If he couldn't get the god's soul herb, then he would really let him down. A full day passed. Long Fei was still crawling, gasping for breath, perspiring profusely, but he did not stop for even half a second. Raising his head to look at the mountain peak above him, he muttered to himself, "How high is it?" Continue. It was very high, very steep. If one was not careful, they would fall down. If one fell down from this height, they would definitely become a pile of meat. Long Fei did not give up in his heart. With every step forward, you will move further away from success. If you stop, you will never reach the peak. Just like training. The next day passed. The third day passed. Long Fei kept climbing. A full 10 days. A mountain climbed for 10 days. Long Fei finally saw the mountain peak. At the same time, he was also observing his surroundings to see if there were any god's soul herbess. The god's soul herbess grew on the heavenly soul cliff, and he said excitedly, "Ancestor, we will be able to find the god's soul herb soon, and we will be able to save you soon." Huff, huff. Long Fei gasped for breath heavily and rushed forward in a single breath. However, the moment he stepped onto the peak of the mountain, he was dumbfounded. The entire mountain peak was only the size of a millstone. It was completely bare and calm, not to mention God's soul herb. There wasn't even a single blade of grass. How could grass grow in such a place? Holy **T. Long Fei cursed as his body fell and laid on the ground like a big pool of water, gasping for air. Your sister. He had not slept for 10 days and 10 nights, but what he received in return was nothing. This was too much of a blow. Don't say that the result isn't important. The process is. Climbing this high up is enough to repay the scenery. If anyone dared to say something like that, Long Fei would definitely kick him down the sky soul cliff. What he wanted was the result. As for the scenery, what kind of scenery was this? Long Fei was too tired, and too hungry. And then Long Fei muttered, "And you also bring an offering. I will sacrifice your sister. I will first sacrifice my 5 Viscera temple." Thinking about the offerings in the luggage, he mumbled to himself, 10 days have passed, and I don't know if it has broken or not. I can't control it. I'm starving to death. After Long Fei opened his luggage, he was even more dumbfounded. Besides the 2 candles, the so-called offering was carved out of wood, painted and polished. Floating life strongest upgrade system. Long Fei knew it was fake when he held it in his hand. Then I'll be fucked. Life is going to be desperate. However, when he took out the offerings, the aura around him began to change. Chapter 18_8419/2356879. Long Fei was about to lose all hope. Long Fei was about to lose all hope. Hunger, fatigue. Life was like a joke. One by one. But when he took out the fake offerings, a change occurred on the millstone-sized mountain peak. A breath that would cause anyone to feel energized seeped out from the rock. Long Fei took a deep breath. Ding! Power of Celestial is full. Ding. Health point full. Ding. My stamina is full. All of his attributes instantly recovered, and Long Fei's mind trembled. He said in shock, "Could it be that I've really met a deity in the sky?" In that instant, Long Fei calmed his qi and remained motionless. He was waiting. The entire world seemed to have stopped moving. Half a minute later, a small bud grew out from the stone and lightly swayed like a little girl's face, slowly swaying. At the same time, it was slowly growing up. From the size of a pinky finger to the size of a fist, it kept on growing until it was half a meter tall. The entire body of the power of Celestial was emitting, causing people to be incomparably excited. In the end, when it didn't stop growing, it jumped out of the stone and heavily jumped up. The small root carefully walked to the side of those fake offerings, like a foot. Long Fei became excited. It should be the god's soul herb, right? He was going all out. When the god's soul herb was playing incomparably happily, Long Fei suddenly pounced and directly grabbed the grass in his hand and said, "I got it." At the same time, rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky suddenly changed, and the clouds churned as muffled thunder crazily sounded out from within the clouds. The clouds formed a massive vortex. Thick arcs of thunder exploded in the vortex, incomparably fierce. All the spirit treasures in this world have a guardian beast. Could it be? This divine tribulation is the guardian beast of this grass. Holy *T. Long Fei looked at the continuously struggling god's soul herb in his hand and said, "I don't care what you are, I want to use you to save people." And then Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. He suddenly stood up, stared at the cloud vortex, and arrogantly roared, "Come, I'll wait for you here." Rumble! A bolt of lightning struck down heavily. It exploded right above Long Fei's head, like a bolt of lightning smashing down from his sea of consciousness to his mind, then to his 4 limbs and hundreds of bones, and lightning carrying an incomparably strong penetrating power. Buffed! Long Fei's body sank, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he straightened up again and shouted, "Go on!" Rumble! The second bolt of lightning came crashing down, and this time it was even more violent. Long Fei was immediately thrown to the ground. The god's soul herb directly said, "Hurry and let me go, otherwise you will be hacked to death." "Let you go? Impossible." Long Fei didn't let go in the slightest. He crawled up from the ground, steadied his posture, and said, "Continue." Boom, boom, boom. Lightning struck down one after another. His head felt like it was about to split apart. It was too unbearable, but he still clenched his teeth and endured. The god's soul herb was his only chance to save the ancestor. Even if he died, he wouldn't let go. Absolutely not. 8_8419/2356880 Long Fei's heart tensed up and asked, "Who is he?" Long Fei's heart tensed up and asked, "Who is he?" Yen Huang Ancestor said, "I can only sense his aura, and I don't know who he is, but his aura is a little similar to yours." "A little similar to me? Who could it be?" Long Fei was very clear that he only knew Yi from the immortal domain, and Yi had also said that with his strength, he wouldn't be able to reach the top of the sky soul cliff. Even heavenly hall of immortals as would not be able to fly on it. Could it be that this person was stronger than the supreme god of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals? This was too terrifying. Who was it? At this time, Chief Bodyguard had heard the sound and came over. When he saw Long Fei, he immediately laughed. "Brother Long, why are you so quiet now?" Long Fei calmed himself down, crawled up from the ground, and laughed. "I just came down too," Chief Bodyguard asked. "How is it? Did you find what you were looking for?" Long Fei laughed and said, "I guess so." "That's good," Chief Bodyguard said. "Let's go back quickly. It's been almost a month. The people in the town must be very worried." "A month?" Long Fei was shocked in his heart and thought to himself, "Could it be that I fainted for 20 days? Chief Bodyguard said, "If you count it from the day you climbed the mountain, it would exactly be 1 month." "Oh, time flies." Long Fei laughed, his heart becoming more and more shocked. Raising his head to look at the god's soul mountain that towered into the clouds, he said in his heart, "No matter who you are, thank you very much." God's soul mountain summit. A man dressed in black, wearing a cloak with a stubble on his beard, was just like Uncle Mining on TV. His 2 eyes were looking at Long Fei at the bottom of the mountain, and he was grinning lightly. "Brat, your road is still very long. How could you stop at this kind of place?" "Ha ha ha." His face was also pale as he stared at the sky with disdain as he said, "I didn't think that the lightning tribulation of a grade 9 immortal root god's soul herb would be this strong. It almost sent me down the mountain." F***CK. The man heavily cursed and disdainfully said, "You still haven't blown me to death." And then the man looked at Long Fei, who had disappeared into the forest, and laughed. "You're good enough, you're good enough, you're good enough, you're crazy enough. You're worthy of being a child of my Long family. Ha ha ha." The laughter faded. The man jumped off the cliff. Caw! A fairy beast hawk, whose body was glowing with a golden light, descended from the sky, spread its wings, and flew towards the god Emperor Academy. "Who is he?" "I don't know." And then there was Long Fei. On the way back to the town, Long Fei had always been thinking about this question, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't figure out who it was. He finally gave up on this kind of matter that hurt his brain. His gaze was fixated on the god's soul herb amongst the space ring. Item: God's soul herb attribute. Grade. Description. They were all question marks, and there was no explanation as to how they were described. Long Fei silently said in his heart, "Should I consume them?" Yen Huang Ancestor's voice came out and said, "Brat, this spirit grass is different from other spirit grasses. Even I have never seen it before. It should be the #1 spirit grass that exists in this world and contain an incomparably strong power. Quickly fuse it." He only needed a tiny bit of leaf to recover. This spirit grass was definitely not an ordinary existence. Long Fei said, "Ancestor, this thing is for you to use." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, Yen Huang Ancestor immediately said, "It's already useless to me. I will definitely not be polite with anything that I can use." While he was speaking, the cyan rainbow divine sword had already been swallowed by him. The spirit stones, holy artifact S, an armor that Long Fei did not use, had all been eaten by him. There was no sign of politeness. Long Fei reminded him once again, "Is it really useless?" He did not want that to happen again. Yen Huang ancestor laughed. It's really useless. Do you think I would lie to you? Actually, very useful. However, the ancestor could not block Long Fei's path just because of his own personal matters, and this was something that he had risked his life for. Using his life like this, Long Fei tried to save him. His heart was moved beyond words, and he was glad that he did not choose the wrong person. All right. Long Fei moved his body and said, "Merge!" Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for fusing with God's soul herb, power of celestial 100 points, and a special 100 points reward. And then Long Fei opened the system to check and said, "There's no next." The system did not reply him. "What's so strong? There's nothing at all." Long Fei muttered, "This God's soul herb is probably not waiting for him to finish." Buzz. Buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Long Fei's sea of consciousness continued to expand, grow bigger, become stronger, and undergo a world-shaking transformation. At the same time, the system exploded outwards. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for increasing your perception towards spirit herbs by 500%. Congratulations to player Long Fei for increasing your perception towards ores by 500%. Congratulations to player Long Fei for increasing your alchemy success rate by 200%. Congratulations to player Long Fei for increasing his sea of consciousness by 300%. Congratulations to player Long Fei for increasing his mental endurance by 300%. Basically, all of the auxiliary method S. Congratulations to the player. This type of increase was not in terms of leveling up, but in terms of understanding immortal spirit. The last system announcement rang out. 9 grade immortal spirit. Fusion, fusion. At this time, Long Fei had no other choice. As soon as his voice faded, his body suddenly trembled. The power in his body was like an explosion, surging violently. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for fusing with 9 grade immortal spirit's power, 100 power of celestial, and 100 points. Ding! Would you like to see the 9 grade immortal spirit? Check, check. Item, 9 grade immortal spirit grade. Peak grade 9 immortal foundation. Description, the power of the gods' soul herbs quintessence. Peak grade 9 immortal foundation. Description 2, can use the power of 9 grade immortal spirit, alchemy, engraving, smithing, beast taming. After using it, the items refined would be increased by 3 grades. Description 3, 9 grade immortal spirit can also convert into combat power, cooldown, 24 hours, damage is unknown, attack is unknown. Oh my God! Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. Isn't this a little too fierce? 9 grade immortal spirit. Then this god's soul herb has grade 9 immortal roots that Long Fei's brain was not strong enough. He had reminded him the last time. Only those who had reached the holy 9th rank could use the 2nd level fairy route to break through to the spiritual level, and only those who had reached the 1st rank could use the 2nd level fairy route to break through to the 2nd rank. The 2nd level fairy route that he had obtained from killing the fairy beast last time could not be fused. However, how could he fuse with a grade 9 immortal root this time? Baidu, sister-in-law, a half. Floating life's strongest upgrade system, could it be? Is this god's soul herb a special existence? Or did someone change the god's soul herb? Long Fei was astonished. How strong was this person who had altered his grade 9 immortal foundation? Was it the person who had helped him? The heck, a strong explosion. Chapter 38_8419/2356881 In the afternoon, in the afternoon, the moment they walked out of the forest, Chief Bodyguard stretched his back and said, "We're finally home." At the same time, his expression suddenly changed as he looked at the flag on the fence. His eyes darkened as he said, "Something has happened." Long Fei's expression recovered and said, "Big Brother Guard, what's wrong?" Something happened in the town. Then, Chief Bodyguard rode his horse and galloped down. Long Fei followed closely behind. In the God's Soul town, the central plaza was filled with people. Several people stood beside the surrounding bandits, and their leader, 5 from God Emperor Academy, Lin Long's group of 5. The more they thought about it, the more furious they became. They were the students of the God Emperor Academy, the more talented they were. So who would dare to be disrespectful to them? Not only was he slapped, he even kneeled down. Lin Long was very unhappy, especially when Long Fei's arrogant expression appeared in his mind. It made him even more unhappy. In the past few days, Long Fei had become like a demon in his heart. If he did not kill Long Fei, it would be difficult for his cultivation to improve, so he made a prompt decision and changed his route. He did not return to God Emperor Academy, but chose to enter there. His people were there. At the same time, he also sent people to sneakily investigate Long Fei back at the God's Soul town to see who that brat was. When Lin Long found out that Yi was taken away by a few powerful strangers, he knew that his chance for revenge had come. Without Yi, he could easily crush Long Fei. This time, he wanted revenge. He wanted Long Fei to kneel on the ground and not be able to stand up. "Tell me, where did that kid go?" The second was aggressive, with a gloomy look in his eyes. He was unusually fierce, and seeing that no one replied, he spread out his fingers. A little girl was lifted up into the air, her legs continuously kicking and struggling. She was scared to the point of crying, and said, "Mother, mother, mother, woo. Let go of my child. Let her go." A woman wanted to rush up, but was kicked away by a bandit and shouted, "Scram!" Second brother stared at the girl and asked, "Tell me, where did that kid go?" The little girl shook her head. I don't know. Uncle, let me go. I really don't know." The beautiful lady trembled. "Elder, I really don't know. I really don't know. Please let my daughter go. Please." The beautiful lady's eyes were filled with despair as she kept on kowtowing. The second brother looked at everyone with a dark expression. "If I have to release him, then tell me where that boy has gone to." It was the same. No one answered. In their hearts, Long Fei was their benefactor. The second brother glared at him. "Are you not going to speak? Then die." Crack! A little girl's neck was broken. Her mother turned pale and fainted from fright. The crowd on the square took a step forward, their fury surging. "Is there such scum like you in the God Emperor Academy? What heavenly martial continent's #1 academy? In my opinion, it should be the dog shit academy, scum academy. What's the use of bullying us commoners? Back then, you even resisted in front of him. Scum, beast." Anger raged, and the crowd was in a frenzy. Just like that, a tiny life disappeared. Seeing everyone's angry look, the second brother sneered, "I think you are tired of living." And then, with a move of his hands, power of Celestial began to surge. With one hand, he picked up the 2 big men and opened his mouth to reveal a sinister sneer. Bong! Crack! The heads of the 2 big men were broken off by the power of Celestial. The cultivation of the disciples of the God Emperor Academy were too strong. It wasn't something they could deal with. On the other side, the guards had been either dead or injured, and a few of them were still alive, but they were all being trampled on by the bandits. But against the disciples of the God Emperor Academy, there was nothing they could do. The difference was too great. "You bastards, I'll fight you to the death." An old man rushed up, and before he could even get close, OL3 made a move and exploded his head with a punch. Blood splattered everywhere. He also let out a deep roar. "Come on, I'll see which one of you isn't afraid of death." His voice was like thunder as it heavily crashed down. The surroundings suddenly quieted down. Lin Long said coldly, "We only want that brat, and we can just hand him over." "I don't know," a man said loudly. The corners of Lin Long's eyes turned sinister. His figure suddenly moved and instantly appeared in front of the man as he coldly said, "If you don't know, then go die." His 5 fingers formed a claw, directly scratching a deep hole in his forehead. He died on the spot. His methods were extremely cruel. Even the bandits' faces turned cold. Lin Long's eyes swept across them and said, "You bunch of ant trash, don't be so shameless." In his eyes, these poor people were not even considered humans. They were merely ants, ants that could be stepped on by others. They didn't even have the qualifications to say the 4 words God, Emperor, Academy. One of the bandits said, "Big Brother Lin, I don't think these people know. I think we should just burn down this town. Woman, bring the items back. As for the rest, kill them all, burn them all. Ha ha ha." The bandits quickly laughed. Ha ha ha. The cold light in Lin Long's eyes swept across them once, and the surrounding bandits immediately quietened down. Lin Long walked in front of an elder and said, "I know that he is in the entire town, and I have sent guards to take care of the road outside the town, so that Brat did not go out. Go ahead. Where is he?" He had to kill Long Fei. He couldn't let the inner demons in his body pile up. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to advance even a single step. The old man looked at Lin Long and spat out a mouthful of phlegm. Pah! A mouthful of phlegm was spat on Lin Long's face. Lin Long clenched his fists tightly, his teeth chattering loudly. The flames on his body exploded out like an explosion. "You're courting death." In that instant, bam! When a bandit was sent flying, Chief Bodyguard rushed down from his horse and looked at the rest of them, then at his wife who had fainted and his daughter who lay motionless on the ground. The anger in his heart reached its peak. F***CK, your ancestors. All men have fire. It was the same even when facing the strong warriors of the God Emperor Academy. A month ago he had not dared to be angry. That was because it was not the limit. Now, with his family member killed, he was enraged to the extreme and completely threw caution out of the window. With a loud roar, he whipped out a Zamedeo, leapt high into the air, and slashed towards Lin Long. He roared, The second brother's lips curled up in a cold smile. "Just trash like you?" Before he could finish his sentence, his figure disappeared. Without waiting for Chief Bodyguard's blade to fall, the second brother's fists were thrown out. Bang, 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 bang. Floating Life strongest upgrade system Chief Bodyguard was pushed back by 100 meters. Second brother continued to attack 100 meters. His chest was ripped apart by the 2 fists, and blood continued to spurt out. Suddenly, the Chief Bodyguard did not move. A hand pressed against his back, and a pair of eyes that were filled with rage stared at second bro. Chapter 48_8419/2356882. It's you. It's you. The second brother's eyes grew dark, and his gaze grew even more vicious. With a cold snort, he cried out, "Kid, you've finally come." It was also at this time Long Fei roared in his heart, "4th level, peerless." Open. The aura on his body moved as power of celestial surged out, and he took a step forward. Boom! With a grab of his right hand, the dragon salure landed on his palm and fiercely slashed down. The second brother snorted, "With just you? Rank 5 immortal cultivation. So weak. The second brother was not afraid at all. He opened up his 5 fingers, and the binding power of the 5 power of celestial s coiled around Xiang Longfei like silk threads from heaven. As long as he was coiled around, Longfei would not be able to move. However, the wrath of the dragon god, Buzz, the shadow of the dark dragon god moved and slashed out. Crack! The power of celestial released by the second brother had already been destroyed, so Longfei's entire being advanced in an instant. His shoulder suddenly knocked against the second brother's chest, and before he could even stand firm, he had already fiercely grabbed onto his throat. The second brother's face grew aghast as his eyes began to tremble. "You dog, what are you trying to do?" "For what?" "Kill you," Longfei roared. The second brother's face was pale, and he said angrily, "You dare, I am the disciple of God Emperor Academy. If you dare touch me, you are going against the entire God Emperor Academy. Do you dare? On that day, you didn't even dare to attack that expert. Yet you, a trash who has the power of a fox, dare to touch me? Ha ha ha." The second brother roared. What kind of existence was the God Emperor Academy, who would dare to offend the strongest power in a mortal domain? No one. However, Longfei was an exception. He grabbed the second brother's throat with one hand, fiercely grabbed his head with the other, and pressed him down using the power of celestial on his body. He knelt on the ground. Longfei sneered and said, "I don't dare, right?" With a sudden flick of his left hand, a malevolent look appeared on his face. Crack! The second brother's neck rotated at 360 degrees, and his eyes bulged, his pupils bloodshot. Longfei asked with a voice like the god of death, "Do I?" If Yi was not there, he would have killed these scum long ago. The scene today, he was even more enraged. These scum were not qualified to live in this world. If the God Emperor Academy were this kind of scum, Longfei would kill them one by one. Ding! Congratulations to player Longfei for killing Old Lu Air for obtaining 56 experience, 100 power of celestial, and 100 energy values. The system sounded out. Longfei's gaze swept across them, stared at the bandits, and then coldly said, "Next." Lin Long was even able to react a little, not to mention summoning the Toad Boss. He couldn't even summon the Tadpole, much less link with a foreign land, let alone communicate with the Toad Boss. At the same time, Longfei quickly checked Immortal Mode. Ding! System notification. Unable to summon foreign creatures. Unable to activate Immortal Mode. System notification. Unable to summon foreign creatures. Unable to use Innate Mode. The system kept reminding him. As expected, Longfei sighed in his heart. He had trained in the skill summoning technique before, but the skill level of the summoning technique was still level 0. When Longfei saw that dung shells, he was shocked. He thought he would be able to summon out a dung-shelled lobster. Unexpectedly, even the shithole despised him. At this moment, Chief Bodyguard walked up with much difficulty and asked, "Brother Long, what's wrong?" He slapped the ground with one hand, his butt sticking out, and his face full of excitement. His movements were very sharp. At the very least, there were a lot of chubby young girls who weighed at least 200 pounds, but they were all attracted to him. Hiss! Longfei retracted his hand and immediately covered his stomach, saying, My liver hurts." A child said, "Isn't that the stomach?" Longfei immediately moved his hand up and said, "Liver pain, it really is liver pain. Daddy, isn't the place he's touching the heart? Where exactly is he in pain?" The boy asked seriously. While they were talking, he said seriously, "Uncle Hero, the liver is in this position. Do you feel pain in this position?" Longfei felt like dying. He forced a smile and said, "Uncle's liver is so painful. Other than the liver, it's also painful everywhere else." In the past, He had always laughed at Xiao Bai for holding back so much. Now, heavens, do you want me to embarrass myself in front of so many people? Long Fei was extremely depressed, but fortunately his acting was superb, and he managed to trick them all. Chief Bodyguard asked, "Are you all right?" Long Fei recovered his expression and said, "Don't worry, this little bit of pain is nothing. Quickly go and take a look at your family." Thinking about family, Chief Bodyguard's face sunk. His body seemed to have become paralyzed in a moment. Shu Qin. Linger, Chief Bodyguard rushed forward. His wife woke up, and seeing her daughter lying motionless on the ground, she started to cry loudly, "Lingerling!" He began to feel pain. Long Fei's heart was also filled with grief as he muttered to himself, "Ancestor!" Yan Huang Ancestor said, "You can save him." Long Fei was startled. I can save her?" The Yan Huang Ancestor said, "The god's soul herb you devoured possesses the power to return the soul to the body. She is actually not completely dead yet and is still in a rush." "What should I do?" Long Fei immediately asked. Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Use the power of the 9-grade immortal spirit in your mind." The old man looked in the direction in which Long Fei had disappeared in, and muttered in a low voice, "The people from Long family never retreat, never fear, and each of them is unyielding and unyielding." Once, a member of the Long family also came. Once, the old man turned around and looked at the god's soul mountain in the sky far away, and said softly the god's soul mountain was actually split apart by the people of the Long family. It's just that it was a dragon at that time. These are only legends. Nobody knew whether or not the legends of the god's soul mountainess belonged to the god's soul town or not. Long Fei left. He had to leave, too. In the South Horizon region, he was unstoppable and unstoppable. However, in this immortal domain, when he was facing Second Elder Lu, he felt even more pressured. It wasn't that he wasn't strong enough, but there were simply too many people who were strong enough. Level 5 Immortal is too weak. If Lin Long had not been scared out of his wits by the shocking scene of the 9-grade immortal spirit killing a person with one move, would Long Fei have wanted to kill Lin Long? It was impossible. Lin Long could definitely kill Long Fei. Even if he was only at the 8th stage of the immortal realm, he would be able to easily kill Long Fei. Immortal domain. The gathering place of geniuses was also where the strong gathered. The difference in cultivation was like the difference between heaven and earth, even within the same realm. If he wanted to become stronger, he would have to level up. On the way, Yan Huang Ancestor asked, "What did you say to that little girl? I've always been curious." Yan Huang Ancestor couldn't hear everything Long Fei said. Long Fei laughed and said, "This is a secret." Ha ha ha. He said that Ling Air would become a powerful warrior, an expert capable of summoning a giant bear, an expert who can knock a person out, a person who can reverse the situation. The ancestor was startled. "You brat, don't you have level 1 immortal root S? You are now at the 5th level of the nascent immortal stage, and confused with level 1 immortal root, allowing you to gain quite a bit of power." Ha ha! I forgot to tell you, I gave that immortal foundation to Linger. Long Fei laughed. The forefather was cultivating behind closed doors, so he didn't know. He checked to make sure the space ring was gone, and immediately said, "You brat, you are in need of the level 1 immortal root. Right now, why are you giving it to that little kid? She doesn't need it yet. Moreover, that's only a fire immortal root. Didn't you say that you want the 5 elements immortal root?" The forefather didn't quite understand. Actually, it really was because that immortal foundation was of the fire attribute that he left it for Linger, although he didn't know if he could help Linger. However, that was all he could do. What if? What if Linger really turned into a little flame girl? A cry for help sounded out. A cry for help sounded out. Sister, this was Long Fei's first reaction. The second reaction was retreat. When he was outside, he would meddle less in other people's business. Moreover, he was not in the mood to meddle in other people's business. Even his scalp was numb, and he did not know how to get out of this forest. However, before he could react, a carriage rushed down the hill. Out of the way! Get out of the way! Get out of the way! A coachman sat on the horse carriage. The coachman was a woman, and seeing Long Fei stunned and still on the spot, she shouted, "I told you to get out of the way. When the car arrives at the mountain, there will be a path." Damn, there are cars everywhere. Long Fei sighed. His reaction was not slow. Upon seeing the horse carriage rushing down, he immediately ran, specially running the S-shaped route, in this way making it safer. But wherever Long Fei ran to, the carriage would rush towards that direction. It was just like tracking a target. The coachman shouted, "Are you stupid? I told you to get out of the way. Are you deaf?" Long Fei. Damn you! Long Fei cursed in his heart. Am I stupid? I think you're the fool. Immediately, Long Fei said, "Since you want to follow me, then I'll go up the tree." He stepped on a tree branch and leaped up. He stood on the tree trunk and said, "Are you safe now?" However, he was not finished. The wheels of the carriage hit a large rock, and the horse suddenly came to a screeching halt. The carriage behind the horse flipped in the air and flew away. The coachman and an unconscious woman flew out of the carriage. It was like a cannonball that had locked onto Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes darkened. Fuck, who did I offend? Whoosh, whoosh. Two voices crashed into his body. Ah, ah. The coachman girl shouted loudly as she hugged Long Fei's waist and pulled him. Long Fei used his strength to hold the unconscious woman in his arms. Just as he hugged her, the strange fragrance from the woman's body rushed into his nose. It was a very special smell. At this moment, because the horsekeeper girl's momentum was too strong, she could not hold it in anymore and pulled Long Fei's pants down with a chi-la sound. She slightly raised her eyes. Her face immediately flushed red and said, "Stupid rogue. F***ck. You're the hoodlum, right? You took off my pants the first time we met. I've never seen a female hoodlum like you before. Can you still show some face?" Long Fei also scolded. "Luckily, I was wearing my underwear. If I didn't, wouldn't I have been seen naked? That would be too much of a loss." The coachman's face was flushed as he said, "You are the one who is shameless. You are the scoundrel. You." At this moment, Long Fei bellowed, "One more word. If you say another word, believe it or not, I will take off my underwear. I will be a hooligan today." "You..." The coachman girl was so angry that her teeth itched, and she did not even look at this shameless person. Her two eyes did not dare look up, afraid that Long Fei would take off her last pair of pants. Seeing that she was afraid, Long Fei started to tease again and said, I suddenly want to pee. I can't hold it in anymore. What do I do?" The horsekeeper girl's anger surged. Smoke was coming out from her head. She wanted to tear Long Fei into 1,000 pieces and said solemnly, "You scoundrel, you dare." Long Fei said, "Why would I not dare? You control heaven and earth. You can still pee on me, don't worry. As long as you don't move, I won't wet myself on you. However, you can't just peek at it. It will only look bad if it was born with a needle." The coachman was angry and said, "If you are going to pee, I will cut it. If you have the guts, then pee. F***ck. You still dare to threaten me?" Long Fei was immediately angered and immediately took off his pants. The horsekeeper girl panicked, hearing the rustling sound above her, and immediately said, "Brother, I was wrong, all right? Now you know how to apologize. I'm telling you it's too late. Long Fei didn't buy it at all. Another wave of shushing sounds came out of his mouth, followed by the sound of him taking off his pants. The coachman's face was livid as he said, "What do you want in the end?" Long Fei said, "How is it?" "It's simple. If you say I'm a female rogue 3 times, I'll let you go." You're the scoundrel." The coachman girl gave a fierce shout. Long Fei bellowed, "Are you going to say it or not?" The coachman girl could not beat Long Fei at all and thought to herself, "I'll promise you this first. I'll take care of you when I get down from the stage. I'll beat up your number 2 and see if you're still acting so arrogantly." "Finished," the coachman replied. "I am a female rogue. I am a female rogue. I am a female rogue." Long Fei said, "Did you lose to a mosquito? The sound of the mosquitoes is also louder than yours. You don't push your luck." The coachman girl was even more enraged. Long Fei said, "So what if I'm fine? If you have the guts, come bite me. If you dare to speak in such a soft voice, I'll piss on your head." If he had spoken properly, none of this would have happened. Why did she take off his pants and call him a hooligan? Are there any laws? Today, he had to deal with this female hooligan. The coachman girl was about to go crazy and said crazily, "I am a female hoodlum. I am a female hoodlum. I am a female hoodlum." All right. It was loud. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly shouted, "Someone come quickly. There is a woman here who is playing a hooligan. She is playing a hooligan. Even my pants are being ripped off. Everyone come and take a look." The coachman girl instantly wanted to die. Completely fooled by Long Fei, he scolded Long Fei 10,000 times in his heart and said, "You despicable, shameless bastard. Today, I will definitely tear you into 10,000 pieces." Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest. He said, come on, don't even mention dismembering thousands of corpses. If you have the guts, raise your head and look, even my pants are off." The coachman girl shook her head, not wanting to hear about it. She had never thought that there would be such a wretched and shameless person in this world that would use their pants to threaten her. The anger in her heart could only roast Long Fei. He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. "What do you want? Are you also an assassin sent by the Mu family?" The coachman girl's eyes turned vicious as she lowered her head to look at the ground. Just as she was about to bite the bullet and jump down, a sound came from the forest. "This is the area. I heard their voices just now. Search carefully. Today, you must kill her. You absolutely cannot let her return to the medicine order. You understand?" "Yes, sir." A dozen or so men dressed in black clothing came down from the hillside in a search. =semi/floating life plus. The horsekeeper girl immediately gave up jumping down. Her mind tightened as she said, "Don't speak." Long Fei became complacent and said, "You're telling me not to speak, so don't speak?" "Who do you think you are, and why do I have to say it?" The horsekeeper girl was so anxious that beads of sweat dripped from her forehead as she asked, "What do you want in the end?" Long Fei looked down and coincidentally saw the coachman girl's collar from above. There was a deep and bottomless crevice. Chapter 38_8419/2356887. The supreme force on her fists was able to block the sword and saber, and she was completely unable to injure him at all. Long Fei sighed in his heart. What a strong violence! The dozen or so assassins were all suppressed by her. Is this the power of an immortal foundation? Violent immortal root? Violent lowly? Long Fei was secretly shocked. Seems like immortal foundation is truly very important to warriors. A single immortal foundation can change a person's fate. The coachman girl was very violent, Long Fei hid in the dense leaves and watched quietly. At this moment, the girl in his embrace opened her eyes weakly and said weakly, "Xiao Ying is not their match. Can you help him?" "Huh." Long Fei looked at her weak expression and said, "Even she is not his opponent. I am even more so. I am only a fifth-grade immortal, and I don't have a blend of fairy vein." The girl was naturally aware of Long Fei's cultivation level, but she naturally had a way. "I have a pellet in my bosom. If this pellet were to come into contact with Mu Feng's skin, his cultivation would be sealed for a short period of time, and that's your chance. Seal off his cultivation. This pill." Long Fei tensed up but still shook his head. "No, it's too dangerous. I can't even block one of his attacks." A faint yellow exclamation mark was floating above the girl's head. "What is this?" "Mission." Without the system's prompt, Long Fei would not easily agree to her request. "Please. Sister-in-law, 1-/+ health, strongest upgrade system. Help me, I will repay you. The Mu family is too strong. If I die here today, the Medicine Valley will probably be destroyed. I beg you, I will agree to anything you want." The woman was incomparably weak. It was also at this time the system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 48_8419/2356888. Huh. What? Long Fei's mind suddenly tensed up. 100 years, old divine Woodheart. Patriarch. Yen Huang ancestor also saw an additional item among the space ring and said, "Divine Woodheart, this is an item to raise the level of Dragon Salyer, but this divine Woodheart is unable to withstand the powerful strength of Dragon Salyer. It's too young. 100 years isn't enough. I have to get the heart of ancient fairy tree." Yen Huang ancestor warned. At this moment, the lady on the tree jumped down, stared at Long Fei, and said, "Kill them all." Huh. Long Fei looked at those gazes that were incomparably shocked. Their eyes were filled with fear, as they simply did not know how Long Fei had managed to kill Mu Feng. The spiritual level's elder had been cut to death like a knife cutting vegetables. What was going on? The woman said in a cold tone, "Didn't you hear me tell you to kill them?" Long Fei's gaze turned and stared at the cold lady. "Why should I kill them?" He wanted to kill. After all, these assassins only had experience for him. So how could he let go of their power of celestial value? However, he couldn't stand the woman's tone. He acted as if he was her slave, which made him very unhappy. The girl's gaze turned cold as she said, "If you don't kill him, then I'll kill you." Oh. Has your wings hardened? You want to kill me?" Long Fei sneered and said, Come, let's see you kill him." The woman's gaze darkened as she said, "You were poisoned the moment you caught me. If you had listened to my command, your entire body would have festered and died." Long Fei asked, "Who are you trying to scare?" At the same time, Long Fei turned to the ancestor in his heart and asked, "Ancestor, what's the situation? Am I poisoned?" Yen Huang ancestor laughed and said, "My alchemy may not be that great, but I'm an expert in refining poisons, so even the few old poisons in Chaos Realm are not as good as me. You were indeed poisoned just now, but this kind of poison is nothing to me, not even Mao Yu. However, Brat, this woman is an expert at using poison. You should be careful." The woman did not know that the poison in Long Fei's body had already been dispelled, and she said with a cold smile, "If you don't believe me, you should check if there's a black on your chest." Long Fei was very cooperative and did as he was told. He then displayed the acting skills of a movie empress as he said in panic, "There's really a black spot. You quickly give me the antidote." The girl smiled proudly. "If you want the antidote, that's fine. First, kill all of these Mu family's assassins. I will give you the antidote." At least Long Fei still couldn't die yet. She still needed Long Fei to send her back to the Medicine Valley. And also, she was poisoned too. The poison that she was unable to dispel had to be returned to the Medicine Valley. Hurry up. Didn't you hear what I said? It's fine if I don't know how to thank you for saving me. It's fine if I don't know how to thank you for saving me. Who wouldn't be angry? So, what if she was a woman? Women have special privileges. Long Fei was very unhappy. The assassins of the Mu family were stunned, but in their eyes, there was an incomparable amount of worship for Long Fei, because Long Fei dared to hit a woman that they did not even dare to look at. Holy Maiden of the drug race, Man Tualuo, these incomparably enchanting flowers were also incomparably evil flowers. They made people drool, yet they didn't dare to approach them. The coachman was also stunned. Her large eyes stared straight at Long Fei without blinking and muttered, "He was poisoned and he still dared to hit Miss? He doesn't want to live?" Man Tualuo stared at Long Fei, her eyes filled with a cold, killing intent. Since she was young, no one had dared to hit her, and none of the people who hit her had a good ending. Because of this, she was also known as the Bane of Drug Race. Man Tualuo said coldly, "Since you want to die, then I'll send you to hell. I'll give you one more chance. Kill them or I'll kill you." Long Fei was calm and composed and said, "I am a reasonable person. If you earnestly begged me, I might help you get rid of them. But you look like a dead father and mother. What do you think I am? Be your family's slave? You want to kill me? Come. Let's kill them and have a look." Man Tualuo glared and threw caution to the wind. "Die." As soon as he finished, the tiny power of Celestial exploded, activating the poison in Long Fei's chest. However, Long Fei acted like he was in pain and said, "Aya, it's so painful. I'm going to die. Aya, it feels so bad. My liver, it hurts." It was also at this time. Suddenly, one of the assassins shouted, "Do it now." Long Fei was poisoned and was about to die. The coachman girl, being crippled, was already unable to obstruct them. Right now, there was only a Man Tualuo in the immortal realm, and he was also an injured Man Tualuo. Wealth comes from danger. Evil arose from the edge of courage. One of Mu Feng's elders died, and there just happened to be a vacancy in his position. Whoever could bring Man Tualuo back to the Mu family would be able to replace him. Kill. They all knew in their hearts that this was an excellent opportunity, and that they would take the risk to try even when facing Man Tualuo, who was as evil as a lone star. "Miss, be careful!" Xiao shouted loudly. At this time, she was too far away from Man Tualuo to save her. Man Tualuo's face darkened as well. He hated Long Fei to the extreme and said, "Look, I told you to kill them, but you didn't kill them. Now it's their turn to kill you. There is nothing good in the Mu clan." Man Tualuo was furious after being slapped twice by Long Fei, but she was even angrier that Long Fei did not attack the assassins. "Humph! Man Tualuo, you are not a good person either. The drug race despised you, and you were even abandoned by the Mu family. What do you think you are? Stop bullshitting with him. Let's cripple her first. It's such a pity to cripple such a beautiful woman. If you can let me feel refreshed." Ha ha ha. "Wooden barrel, do you want to die? How dare you touch such a woman? How dare you touch it? However, I don't dare to touch her when I'm alive, but if she's dead, she can't possibly use any evil arts, right? You want to? Can't I? Count me in. I want to feel good too. Ha ha ha." It quickly surrounded Man Tualuo. Man Tualuo did not appear to be panicking, but instead went out and calmed himself down. He said with a cold gaze, "Aren't you, the trash of the Mu family, afraid of my spirit powder?" Ha ha ha. So, what if you have a spirit powder? Can you poison us all in an instant? Can't be. Brothers, don't be afraid. She is already at the end of her tether. At this moment, ah, Longface shouted loudly, I'm dead. With that, he fell to the ground. A member of the Moo family laughed in disdain. You were quite arrogant just now, but now it seems like you are just a brainless trash. You are still trying to take the poison head on. Isn't that just courting death? Don't worry about this piece of trash. Let's attack together. Kill. No one paid attention to Long Fei because even now, people who had been poisoned by Man Tualuo were still unable to stand up, so they quickly circled around Long Fei and rushed at him. Man Tualuo's forehead dripped with cold sweat. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was actually very afraid in his heart. Her alchemy had already reached a high level in poison refinement. However, her cultivation was only in the immortal realm. She was not a match for more than 10 assassins. Her heart turned cold, and she muttered to herself, Am I Man Tualuo going to die here? Am I going to die in a place like this? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I haven't made the drug race tremble. I haven't made those stubborn old fellows kneel down and apologize. I can't accept this. He was screaming in his heart. She had too many things she wanted to do. She wanted to borrow the Moo family's power to rise again. She didn't even hesitate to agree to the Moo family's young master's engagement. However, when she refined a pill that could seal the Moo clan's disciples, the Moo clan instantly changed and assassinated her that night. After leading a female servant who was beside a mother to flee for 3 days and 3 nights, just now, after killing Mu Feng, she thought that she could escape to the sky, but she hadn't thought it would be like what she had planned. Long Fei was completely out of control. With that, she had nothing to rely on anymore. Long Fei retrieved the dragon salyer and carried it on his sword once again. Looking at the shocked Man Tualuo, he said, It seems that you are very disappointed that I'm not dead. Long Fei retrieved the dragon salyer and carried it on his sword once again. Looking at the shocked Man Tualuo, he said, It seems that you are very disappointed that I'm not dead. In that instant, Man Tualuo suddenly moved, took a step forward, and threw himself into Long Fei's embrace. That feeling. In an instant, the crowd burst into an uproar. Moreover, the worst part was that Long Fei's lower body only had underwear left. His long pants had been ripped off by the female rogue Xiaoying. So, his great desolation power burst out, fierce and mighty. Woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo, woo. Man Tualuo instantly collapsed. Like a dam releasing water, he laid on Long Fei's shoulder and started to wail. Even when she was crying, she was still biting on Long Fei's shoulder. Pain, pain. If you're going to cry, then just cry. What is it that you're going to bite me? Long Fei grimaced in pain. He could not understand what she meant. Initially, he was still arrogant and despotic. Order Long Fei acted like he was commanding the servants at his side. He had received 2 slaps from Long Fei, and now he was actually crying on his shoulder. Man Tualuo was not young at all. She was at least 25 years old, a mature woman. She was like a beautiful sister, but when she cried, she looked like a little girl. In addition, she acted like a spoiled child, saying, So what if I bite? It won't kill me if I bite you. You bastard, woo. Her little pink fist smashed into Long Fei's back. F***CK. Long Fei said, You have never been bitten before. Don't you know that it hurts? It's even more painful than being bitten by a dog when you were a kid. Woo. You're the dog. Man Tualuo muttered again as the special fragrance from her body continuously rushed into Long Fei's nose. Long Fei's entire body was scorching hot, as though he was going to spurt out blood. This won't do. What did Man Tualuo feel? Right. Hurry up and leave, otherwise I'll shoot you to death. Long Fei also took the opportunity to push Man Tualuo away from his shoulders. It was really impossible to continue like this. Moreover, Yan Huang ancestor kept reminding her, this woman is fusing with a type of poison, spirit root. That's not right. This woman's body seems to be born with a poison spirit root. The more qi she absorbs, the hotter you will become. This is a type of aphrodisiac poison that is beyond her control. F*CK. Ancestor, say it earlier. Will this aphrodisiac poison make me impotent? Long Fei retreated a few steps back, maintaining a safe distance between him and Man Tualuo. Yan Huang ancestor replied, that's not necessarily the case, but it's best if you don't get too close to her with your current cultivation. It's easier to be impulsive. Is there no solution? Long Fei asked. Yan Huang ancestor replied, yes, enter her body and use your heavenly soul immortal root to deeply communicate with her. Use your immortal root to suppress her immortal foundation, and that will solve the problem. If we were to have a profound exchange, how deep would it be? Long Fei's eyes could not help but reveal a wretched and lewd smile. Yan Huang ancestor smiled and said, Brat, you understand. Huh. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed slyly. I like the Onisan type, and the lowly type are all my favorites. However, he did not realize that Man Tualuo's eyes were filled with killing intent. Man Tualuo said coldly, if you dare have the slightest dirty thoughts, I'll make sure you never raise your head again. Huh. Long Fei reacted and immediately replied, I'm a pure person. How could I have dirty thoughts? Man Tualuo stared into Long Fei's eyes and said, do you dare to say that you're pure? Long Fei lowered his head in disdain. He said he wanted to pee. Is that not okay? Finished. He walked behind a big tree and finished it off quickly. Then he muttered to himself, we have a profound exchange. Could it be that my virgin son's spring is coming? Ha ha. Long Fei lewdly smiled. Xiao Ying and Man Tualuo stared at the big tree and said at the same time, rascal! Long Fei took out a pair of pants from the space ring and put it on before walking out. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the Save the Medicine Valley Holy Maiden quest. You have received 80,000 points, 500 points of power of Celestial, 100 points, and 1 spirit powder. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest Protect the Holy Maiden of the Medicine Valley and returning to the drug race. Mission level. C. Task reward. 10,000 points, 100 points, power of Celestial, 100 points. Special reward. Affability, level plus 50 points. After the system beep landed, Long Fei was startled. A chain of missions. Automatic touch. It must be a continuous quest. Moreover, when Long Fei saw the special reward for the mission, his entire person was stunned. Affability level plus 50 points. A state where one can do as he pleases with an affability level of 90 points, then isn't deep communication. Wait. Long Fei remembered that when he completed a quest in the Southern Sky region, as long as it was a woman, he would have 1 point of affability level. And then Long Fei immediately checked Man Tualuo's affability level. 1 point. F*CK. It feels like I saved him for nothing. Long Fei disdained in his heart. Actually, he did not know that before he could save her, the affability level had reached 100. No rush. I have plenty of time. Long Fei muttered in his heart. After calculating the time, there should still be 4 more months left in God Emperor Academy, so it should be more than enough. Moreover, Even if Long Fei wanted to go to the God Emperor Academy, now he couldn't go if he wanted to, because he didn't know the way at all. Man Tualuo looked at Long Fei and said, "We are all injured. Can you send us to learn the drug race S?" Long Fei faked an awkward expression and said, "My time is too tight." Man Tualuo said, "As long as you are willing to escort us back, I will definitely give you some benefits." "You said that." Long Fei's eyes trembled. Man Tualuo said, "I've said it. As long as I can do it, I will give it to you." She needed Long Fei's help. The assassins of the Mu family could catch up at any time. She had to return to the Herb Valley safely, so she really needed Long Fei's protection. Xiao Ying also looked at Long Fei sincerely. Although this hooligan was a hooligan, he was still a good person. More importantly, Long Fei was really handsome. Long Fei went silent and carefully thought about it for a long time. His mind was filled with thoughts of profound communication. He was very excited as he said, "Since she has already said so, isn't that an obvious signal? I want your Baidu sister-in-law a half. Floating Life Strongest Upgrade System, the 3rd chapter, was delivered." He desperately squeezed out 3 chapters. Today, the sea had become a father again. 2,000 gold coins. How joyful. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Also, as soon as possible, the sea will restore the 5 chapters and make up for the debt. 8_8419/2356892. Man Tualuo's brows shook, and he shouted, "Xiao Ying!" Long Fei looked at Man Tualuo at the painful expression in her eyes and thought to himself, what kind of past does she have? Xiao Ying put his hands together and snorted, "Humph!" Man Tualuo took a step forward, and the guard disciple retreated a few steps before saying, "Don't come over. You monster, don't come near me." Man Tualuo's brows tightened and said, "Can you help me notify the Valley Master?" Xiao Ying said, "Miss, what should we inform you about? You are the holy daughter of the Medicine Valley, and the old master and madam are the previous Valley Masters. Who would dare to stop us from entering the Medicine Valley? Who has the right to stop him?" Violent Loli's temper was violent. However, what she said was not wrong. Man Tualuo was the holy maiden of the Herb Valley and the only daughter of the previous Valley Master. Yo, what big words. A group of people came over to the entrance of the Medicinal Valley for the medicinal pellet of the great clan elder. Behind them were a few disciples, and one of them was Yao Lang. The medicinal pill had a look of contempt on its face as it walked over with a cold smile. "Holy Maiden of the Medicine Valley, daughter of the previous Valley Master. My heavens, these 2 titles are really frightening. Are you afraid? Anyway, I'm scared to death." The pills seemed to be filled with fear. The disciples behind him immediately began to jeer, "I'm afraid too. So scared. My legs have gone soft. Holy Maiden, young Valley Master, this is too scary." The surrounding disciples all revealed looks of contempt, as well as mocking expressions. An unpleasant expression appeared on his face. At least, Long Fei was very unhappy. Xiao Ying's face turned sinister, his eyes burning with anger. He bellowed, "You dare to speak to the young miss like that? You... Not waiting for her to finish, the medicinal pill had an angry look on its face as it roared, "Who do you think you are? You think you have the right to speak here? Man Tualuo, back then you committed a heinous crime in the Herb Valley, and you still have the nerve to say that you're a part of the Herb Valley? If I were you, I would have died a long time ago. Your life is the shame of the Medicine Valley." Very fierce. Her eyes stared straight at Man Tualuo. Man Tualuo's expression was very calm. She had actually come to the Medicine Valley and was already prepared. She said, "Great clan elder, I will trouble you to inform the Valley Master that I have a favor to ask of you. Humph! Inform the Valley Master? Man Tualuo. You don't even have the qualifications to step into the Medicine Valley. What are you notifying me about? The pills said, angrily, You won't forget what happened back then, will you? You won't forget the scene of your father and mother kneeling in the ancestral hall in drug race, right? Man Tualuo, why don't you go and die? Valley Master. Man Tualuo quickly changed his words, but soon after, his expression tensed up as he said, Sinner greets Valley Master. Yao Changtian glanced at Man Tualuo and said, Stand up. Why have you come back this time? Didn't you stay in the Mu family well? He had also been the one who arranged for Man Tualuo to go to the Mu family. Xiao Ing opened his mouth to predict being stopped by Man Tualuo and said, Valley Master, I have been struck by a strange poison and need the almighty anti-poison pill of the Medicine Valley. What? By Ling antidote pill? Man Tualuo, is something wrong with your brain? Are you a first-grade spirit pellet for the almighty anti-poison pill? Is it something that can be refined so easily? The surrounding disciples burst into an uproar. Almighty anti-poison pill were extremely rare. There were more than 100 spirit grass alone, and all of them could only be refined by top-grade spirit grass. Not even that. Almighty anti-poison pill S were extremely hard to refine, and their success rate could not even reach 1%. Being able to successfully refine one was a gift from the heavens. This kind of pill was also a pill used to guard the Medicinal Valley. In the entire Medicinal Valley, there were only 2 of them. These 2 were refined by the previous head, and none of them had been refined in the past 10 years. The medicinal pill said coldly, Man Tualuo, you're really amazing. You asked for the almighty anti-poison pill the moment you opened your mouth. Why didn't you go up to the sky? Oh, right. The almighty anti-poison pill in the Medicine Valley was refined by your father. You can't be here today to take it back, right? They started to mock and ridicule him. Man Tualuo said, Great clan elder, I want one. I am willing to pay for it with a special kind of spirit pill. This spirit pill is called Battle Spirit Pill. It is called Spirit Powder. Spirit Powder? What is a spirit powder? Man Tualuo said, Once this pill comes into contact with a person, they will immediately seal their cultivation within a certain period of time, and that person will become like an ordinary person. As soon as he finished, the faces of the people at the mouth of the Medicine Valley suddenly changed. They were all disciples of the Medicine Valley and were all alchemy masters, but he had never thought of such a pill. Spirit powder, the battle pill's medicine that only existed in legends. This was the highest dream of countless drug race. The pill's expression secretly changed. His eyes narrowed, staring at Man Tualuo. I never thought that this slut would actually be able to concoct such a pill. Yao Changtian slightly said, Xiaoman, the almighty anti-poison pill itself was refined by your father. Now that you have the strange poison in your body, and you want a piece of it, how can I not save you? As for the spirit powder, we'll talk about it later. Come with me into the valley. Understood. Understood. The moment Yen Huang ancestor's voice fell, a bizarre and powerful force burst out from Long Fei's body. One step, boom. It trembled violently and stood in front of Xiao Ing, blocking the way. The elder's attack just happened to fall down. Seeing Long Fei standing in front of him, his eyebrows twisted violently, his attack did not stop at all, and still heavily fell down. Locked Xiang Long Fei's throat. It was also at this moment. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted as he sneered. Let's see how hard your fingers are. His entire body was covered in a halo of light. Crack! The elder's 2 fingers grabbed onto Long Fei's throat. As he exerted strength with his 2 fingers, break, break. Long Fei let out a cold laugh, and a burst of energy exploded out of his Adam's apple. Kacha, kacha! 2 bone-cracking sounds rang out. Xiaoying screamed, Long Fei! Man Tualuo's face also changed as he suddenly rushed forward. At this moment, ah! My hand! The one who cried out was not Long Fei, but the elder. Both of his fingers were broken, and a powerful force forced him to bend and break. Not even that. Long Fei's gaze darkened, and she said, You 2 are bullying 2 girls altogether. How King brazen. The rage in his heart raged. His right palm formed into a fist. Without waiting for the elder to retreat, he punched out, up hook. A punch landed heavily on the elder's lower jaw. Puffed. He spurted a mouthful of blood, and his body flew into the air as well. Moonlit step. Whoosh! Long Fei took a step into the air. Without waiting for him to fall, his right leg suddenly jerked. So, it was as if he was being shot through the air, directly sending him flying. Bam! Boom! He was sent flying and crashed into a large tree a dozen meters away. The elder coughed out blood again and again. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper and was in extreme pain. Long Fei swept his gaze across them. Who else is there? Who else wants to fight? If you have the guts, then come up and give it a try. Long Fei was extremely arrogant, domineering, extreme arrogance. What happened to drug race? So what if it was the elder pavilion? Even if he was dissatisfied, he could still crush them, and he would still be crippled. The surrounding people were all suppressed by Long Fei's domineering aura, even though the elder's cultivation was not strong, and the pill was also a spiritual level cultivation. What cultivation does Long Fei have? Level 5 immortal. A cultivation at the immortal realm was able to instantly shatter an elder of the spiritual level. This power, in their hearts, Long Fei's cultivation was definitely not at the 5th level of the immortal realm, but at the high level of the spirit immortal realm. Xiaoying became excited. Wow, so handsome that he fell to the ground. Man Tualuo's eyes flashed as he looked at Long Fei. This man is too eye-catching. Right, we absolutely can't let her take even half a step into the Medicine Valley. This kind of monster isn't someone from the Medicine Valley. Quickly get the hell out of Herb Mountain. Get out of here, didn't you hear? Monster, get out. Many people pointed at Man Tualuo and berated him. They could not afford to offend the Mu family. Man Tualuo's face became more and more unsightly. Xiaoying grabbed onto Man Tualuo's hand, and when Long Fei saw the faces of the people from the Pill Valley, he frowned slightly. At this moment, Yao Changtian looked at the medicinal pill and asked, Great Elder, how do you know that the Mu family is hunting Xiao Man? You wouldn't be colluding with the Mu family, right? The pills that disappeared from the Medicine Valley couldn't have been secretly gifted to the Mu family by you, right? The look on the pill changed, and she immediately shouted, Yao Changtian, please watch your words. If you dare spout any more, I will not be polite. Amongst the disciples behind him, Yao Lang slightly lowered his head. Yao Changtian shouted, Are you angry because of what I said? Bullsh *T. The medicinal pill roared in anger. At this moment, the pavilion master's voice shook as she said, Stop arguing. The surroundings quieted down instantly. The grand pavilion master stared at Man Tualuo and said, I don't care who it is that is chasing and killing you. The almighty anti-poison pill cannot be given to you. Quickly leave Herb Mountain. The drug race has nothing to do with you. Yao Changtian said, Pavilion master, please, don't say any more. If you dare say another word, I'll expel you from the Medicine Valley. The pavilion Master widened his eyes as he shouted. Man Tualuo clenched his teeth. Table of contents. His heart had died. She had too many fantasies about the Medicine Valley. Xiaoing supported Man Tualuo and said, Miss, let's go. Sigh. If you recover your strength, you can use your alchemy to enter the valley and trade for an almighty anti-poison pill. Longface suddenly stopped. 8_8419/2356896. Isn't this playing with swords in front of Master Guan's doors? That's not right. It should be the toilet lighting up. He's courting death. I think it's a bunk next to the latrine. It's not far from death. Ha ha ha. Drug Race's martial arts training was not strong. However, every single one of their disciples had extremely high attainments in alchemy. It was said that they were a branch of the Medicine King race and had inherited the Medicine King's secret scripture. This kind of secret manual was like a blood vein flowing within their bodies. Here, at the age of 10, he already knew how to control the temperature of the fire and how to control the time the spirit grass would enter the furnace. Other than the God Emperor Academy, it could be said that their alchemy technique was the strongest. Entering the valley, that was to challenge them one by one until no one in Drug Race dared to accept the challenge. Only then would they be considered as victorious. However, even after thousands of years, not a single person had entered the valley in such a manner. All of them ended in failure. The price of failure. Crippled and left the valley. He had to cripple an item on his body, be it his hands, eyes, or ears. This was the price for the failure of his alchemy entering the valley. Man Tualuo also stepped forward and said, Long Fei, stop messing around. Let alone Long Fei. Even if she wasn't poisoned, she couldn't guarantee that she would be able to defeat this Drug Race rancor. There were simply too many alchemists in the Drug Race. Yao Changtian also followed. Kid, hurry up and retreat. The pill immediately replied. Pavilion Master, this brat is looking down on us. Drug Race. Such an arrogant brat must return the favor. Otherwise, do you think we, the Drug Race, are trash? As soon as his voice faded, the few elders immediately followed. Pavilion Master, we cannot let him go. You injured our elder, and now you're still entering the valley after leaving your alchemy. You're too arrogant. He is looking down on us, Drug Race. The few elders from the Elders' Pavilion also narrowed their eyes. They could not allow anyone to look down on the Drug Race. Moreover, regarding alchemy, they had never been afraid of anyone. The great Pavilion Master's brows sank, and she asked heavily, I'll give you a chance to reconsider, because I don't want to waste time on trash like you, who doesn't even know what alchemy it is. You can still retreat now. Man Tualuo immediately pulled Long Fei back and said, Don't challenge him. Let's go, let's go. Xiao Ying also firmly held on to Long Fei and shook her head. She regretted it very much now. She didn't even know that Long Fei was challenging the Drug Race. If she knew it was like this, she wouldn't have said that at all. The key point was, if he failed, Long Fei would be crippled. Everyone looked at Long Fei. The medicinal pill had a complacent expression as it sneered. Trash, you don't dare, right? Ha ha ha. Just like you, not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei moved his right hand, pointing his forefinger at the medicinal pellet, yet staring at the corner of the great Pavilion Master's mouth. He laughed coldly and said, Grandson, listen carefully. I want my alchemy to enter the valley and challenge your entire Drug Race. Word for word. Every word he said was like a thunderclap that resounded through the sky. The arrogance and domineering aura from his body was released. His eyes were filled with determination. At this moment, the entire valley was completely silent. Even a pin drop could be heard. After a long time, the Pavilion Master let out a loud shout, and his chi also burst out. Good. I accept your challenge on behalf of the drug race. And then, ha ha ha, the medicinal pill began to laugh loudly as it said, "You're overestimating yourself. Prepare to be crippled." Ha ha ha. Many people from the drug race laughed. To them, Long Fei not knowing his place, daring to follow their alchemy, was equivalent to seeking death. Man Tualuo's expression changed as he grabbed onto Long Fei and said, Don't. The medicinal pill jumped up and laughed complacently. The Grand Pavilion Master has already accepted the challenge. Does he want to leave now? Yes, I can cut off one of my arms and admit defeat. I can let you all go. Equals half carrot float, hashtag life carrot. Man Tualuo, you are very clear about the rules of alchemy entering the valley. If he dares not accept the challenge, you are very clear about what is waiting for him. Long Fei laughed coldly. Did I say I wouldn't fight? And then Long Fei looked at Man Tualuo and said, How many more days do you think you can hold on? Man Tualuo looked at Long Fei, his heart aching for some reason, and said, With my current cultivation, I should be able to persevere for 3 days. Long Fei turned around to look at the pavilion master and said, 3 days later, we will begin. I want to flatten all of you dignified and aloof, and flatten all of your so-called alchemists one by one. 8_8419/2356897. If he wanted to be arrogant, then he had to be extremely arrogant. If he wanted to be arrogant, then he had to be extremely arrogant. If you want to fuck, do it in reverse. This was Long Fei's personality. As soon as he finished, the entire drug race was in an uproar. Too arrogant. This is too presumptuous. Kid, you are about to die. Everyone was filled with incomparable rage. The medicine shouted, 3 days later? What do you do when you escape 3 days later? Pavilion Master, don't promise him that. This kid wants to escape. Yes, don't promise him. What will happen in 3 days? The Medicine Valley does not have such a rule. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, I'm escaping? If I don't F*** K, you old guys up, would I run away? The Pavilion Master's gaze grew cold as he said, What if you escape? Who can guarantee that you won't escape? At this time, Yao Changtian stood out and said, I promise. The surrounding voices suddenly quietened as everyone looked at Yao Changtian. The medicinal pill's eyes revealed a hint of satisfaction as it immediately said, Yao Changtian, there are 3 outsiders. What guarantee do you have? Do you really think you are still the master of a Medicine Valley? Yes, what kind of guarantee do you use? What qualifications do you have to guarantee them? Quite a few elders also started to cheer him up. They were all on the side of the medicinal pills, so as long as they found a chance to suppress Yao Changtian, they would definitely not let him off. The Grand Pavilion Master looked at Yao Changtian. Yao Changtian looked at Long Fei, and then his voice sank as he said, I guarantee it with my life. As soon as his voice faded, it instantly quieted down. They were all shocked by him. Even Long Fei was the same. He was secretly grateful in his heart. The pill mocked, How much is your life worth? Why don't we do this? And throw your life away as well. As long as this fellow loses, you can leave the Medicine Valley together with me. Yao Changtian, staying in the Medicine Valley, was a hidden danger for him. He had to get rid of it. Yao Changtian frowned and said, If you want to bet, then let's bet. He was going all out. At this time, Long Fei stared at the medicine and said, Since I have increased the stakes, then if I were to win, do you think that other than the almighty anti-poison pill S, would I be able to get anything else? The Pavilion Master asked, What do you want? Long Fei smiled slightly and said, It's that simple. I want him to kneel in front of this uncle and kowtow 3 times. It's that simple. The face of the medicinal pill sank as if it had suffered an enormous humiliation as it shouted, "Kid, are you courting death?" Long Fei laughed. "That's right, I'm courting death. If you have the guts, come and bite me. Come. Come on. Grandson, if you have the guts, then come. Why don't you dare come? F***CK, your grandpa." This was impossible. How could someone who didn't understand alchemy defeat the entire drug race? Even if one understood alchemy, it was still impossible to win. Drug race might not have other abilities, but the attainments in alchemy, in the immortal domain, he was only second to the god Emperor Academy. He couldn't allow man Tualuo to die here. He didn't want Long Fei to die here. Man Tualuo said, "Uncle Tian Chong, if we leave, what will you do?" Yao Changtian laughed and said, "You are the Valley Master, and moreover, my alchemy technique has already reached the heaven-ranked primary realm. In drug race, there are not many people who can compare to me. I still have a certain position in the drug race. At most, I'll just receive a bit of punishment. No one will dare to touch me. Maybe in the past, but this time." He wasn't sure himself, but since he had made the choice, he wouldn't regret it, even if it meant his death. Long Fei looked at Yao Changtian and said, "Uncle, do you have a spirit grass on you?" "Huh." Yao Changtian was startled for a moment, then said, "There is. What do you need spirit grass for?" Long Fei asked again, "How many spirit grass do you have?" Yao Changtian replied, "I replenished it yesterday, and it's a rank 1 space ring. It's full of spirit grass inside, and I'm preparing to go into closed-door training for my alchemy." "Why do you ask this?" Long Fei said, "Can you give me these spirit grass?" "Huh." Yao Changtian was startled for a moment, then took out a space ring, and said, "There is no mark on the ring, so it can directly be used. All right, you guys hurry up and leave." Long Fei took the space ring and turned to leave. Man Tualuo and Xiaoing followed behind him. In the dark, the 2 disciples quietly followed him. The pill said coldly, "Watch him till he dies, hee. 8_8419/2356898. The gaze of the medicinal pill darkened slightly as it said, "To think that you didn't run away," even though it was slightly different from what he had imagined. However, the results would be the same, and he wouldn't be worried about the pills. He would just have to wait for another 2 days. And then, medicinal pills asked, "What is the situation in the Elder's Pavilion?" The Elder Pavilion is currently discussing the matter of the new Valley Master. "First Elder, you are the first choice." Hearing this news, the medicinal pill smiled and said faintly, "Don't tell me that they still have a second candidate." The disciple hesitated for a few seconds and said, "There is still the 3rd Elder's prescription. He is the second choice. Moreover, this time, the challenge of alchemy entering the valley will decide who the new Valley Master is." "Huh." The medicine pill's brows tightened and said, "Use your alchemy to enter the valley to test us?" "Humph. All right. A mere medicinal formula is no match for me." The pill was filled with confidence, and after that the disciples in the hall dispersed, leaving Yao Lang behind, and asked, "How is it at the Mu family?" Yao Lang said, "I have already seen the Mu family's head. He has agreed to support you, and when the time comes, he will enter Herb Mountain in the name of the Mu family's exchange group. Right now, I'm just afraid that someone won't let them into the valley." The medicine pill's eyes shook, and it immediately became angry. "Humph, who would dare stop my esteemed guest? If you don't want to stay in this place, then forget about it. When the time comes, just treat it as me greeting an envoy." A sinister look flashed across Yao Lang's eyes, and he immediately replied, "Disciple will do as you say." Chapter 5, 8_84 19/2356900. The spirit pellet Yao Changtian gave him, she did not take it. The weakness of her body made it impossible for her to endure. Earlier, she had forcefully endured the alchemy, but now she could no longer endure it. Huff! Long Fei hugged her, gently put her down, and said softly, "The spirit powder, right? For me to refine it. The 5 elements are opposite. I want to refine a true spirit-sealing, world's medicinal pill." Long Fei took his pill furnace and walked into the depths of the cove. In his mind, he constantly played back the process of man Tualuo refining the spirit powder, and at the same time felt the attributes of every metal attribute spirit grass. A few minutes later, Long Fei began refining. Ding! Fail! No way! Long Fei immediately stopped and started to ponder. A few minutes later, he began refining again and failed yet again. That won't do. No way! No way! Continuously failing, Long Fei unendingly continuing, his high comprehension also coming out. However, he had not shaken the power of the 9-grade immortal spirits that were fusing with each other yet. He needed to use this power at the most crucial point. Continue. Long Fei clenched his teeth and started refining once again. The proud face of the Chinese medicine stone in his mind, the mocking faces of the people in the Medicine Valley. This made him extremely unhappy. Drug race, right? The alchemy family, right? I will challenge your strength and trample all of you under my feet. The flames of anger in Long Fei's heart stirred. Continue. From morning to night, Long Fei continued to refine spirit powder S, from metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to other attributes of spirit grass. Long Fei did not miss any of them. He had already cultivated the spirit powder refining process to the state of being as pure as fire. However, he had not succeeded once. He was in no hurry. In the dead of night, the entire cove was completely silent, apart from the occasional strange animal cries. Long Fei let out a heavy breath and said, "Ancestor, I'm going to challenge the highest level today. I don't have time. I'm really too late." What he needed now was not success, is actually the level of the alchemy technique. After combining the day's worth of failed experiences together, Long Fei came to a conclusion. The demand for alchemy S was too high. Yan Huang Ancestor said, slightly, "Have you thought about it yet?" Long Fei said, "Come." And then Long Fei moved, enchanted. He took out the God's Devil Token S and entered the first floor. At this moment, the Yan Huang Ancestor's power moved, and a dull sound echoed. Break. Boom, boom, boom. A series of intense sounds came up as Long Fei walked up the stairs step by step. His physical body could no longer bear the pressure of the 6th, 7th, and 8th levels. Ah. God's Bone Taboo, open the first level for me. Boom. Long Fei immediately released the power of the God's Bone Taboo. The second level. Open 2 consecutive floors. Long Fei's body stopped once again as he took a step into the 9th floor. His body felt like kneeling down all of a sudden, and he roared in his heart, "3rd floor, 4th floor, open for me." Boom, boom. After stabilizing himself, Long Fei moved and started using his alchemy. Ding. Refinement failed. Proficiency plus 300. Ding. Refining failed. Proficiency plus 50. Ding. Refinement failed. Proficiency plus. The lowest level of proficiency was 30%, and the highest was 100 points. Like a madman, Long Fei withstood the pressure of 9 layers of space and started refining without a care for his life. Long Fei roared out, "I want to reach the great, complete realm." Ah! Ding! Congratulations to player. Long Fei for his alchemy technique level increase. Ding! Congratulations! The system kept beeping. Table of contents. Early morning. The 3 days were up. The mouth of the Medicine Valley was full of people. In the distance, Long Fei brought man Tuoluo and Xiaoing out of the forest. 8_8419/2356901. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.